Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this Thursday, April 23rd, 2020, bringing you news out of New York. And this is a coronavirus update. ABC News is the story source. Coronavirus updates. Cuomo releases results from NY antibody tests. Cuomo noted this data is preliminary. There is a video in the said article. A global pandemic of the novel coronavirus has now killed more than 185,000 people worldwide. Over 2.6 million people across the globe have been diagnosed with COVID-19, the disease caused by the new respiratory virus, according to data compiled by the Center for Systems Science and Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. The actual numbers are believed to be much higher due to testing shortages, many unreported cases, and suspicions that some governments are hiding the scope of their nation's outbreaks. Since the first cases were detected in China in December, the United States has become the worst affected nation with more than 843,000 diagnosed cases and at least 46,838 deaths. Today's biggest developments. Global cases surpassed 2.6 million. American Red Cross will soon use antibody tests for ID plasma donors. All frontline workers in Los Angeles can now get tested for COVID-19. Germany is on the thinnest ice, Angela Merkel warns. "12:10 p.m. Cuomo releases results from the NY antibody test. About 13.9% of the 3,000 New Yorkers who were part of the randomized antibody test in the state were infected and developed an antibody, according to Governor Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo announced the data at his daily press briefing, but noted it is preliminary. The data was collected over 2 days in 19 counties and 40 localities across New York from people who were out in public. Of the 13.9%, the data showed that more men tested positive despite making up a smaller portion of the study. The data also gave some insight into the regions where infection is spreading. New York City has the highest rate of positive antibody results, with residents accounting for 43% of the study and making up 21.2% of the positive tests. Long Island accounted for 14% of the study and made up 16.7% of the positive tests, while Westchester and Rockland counties accounted for 9.8% of the study and made up 11.7% of the positive tests. The rest of the state accounted for 32.8% of the study and made up 3.6% of the positive tests. In terms of racial background, white people were the largest group tested in the study at 57.1%, but had the lowest positive results at 9.1%. The groups that had the three highest positive tests were none other, 22.8%, Hispanic and Latino, 22.5%, and Black people, 22.1%. Asian people had a positive test percentage of 11.7%. He also said the current death toll of 15,302 is not accurate because it does not include people who died at home and those who were never tested for COVID-19. Cuomo added that more testing needed to be done among the African American Hispanic community. More testing and surveys will continue in the state, Cuomo said, with plans to expand the size. China has pledged to donate $30 million in funding to the World Health Organization to support the agency's effort to fight the pandemic, the state-run Xinhua reported. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Geng Shuang backed the WHO's handling of the pandemic, saying at a briefing that it played an important role in assisting countries in responding to the outbreak and boosting international cooperation. The pledged donation comes amid criticism from President Donald Trump and his administration of the WHO. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that the WHO did not enforce its rules regarding data that China shared. However, the United Nations agency does not have enforcement ability. Trump also said he would halt all funding to the WHO. Senior U.S. officials said Wednesday that while existing work would continue, new funding would be paused while a review is conducted. Xinhua reported that in March, China donated $20 million to the WHO. The eldest of Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren's three older brothers, Don Reed, died Tuesday night, 3 weeks after testing positive for COVID-19. He was 86 years old. Warren confirmed the news in a statement and tweet. I'm grateful to the nurses and frontline staff who took care of him, but it's hard to know that there was no family to hold his hand or say, I love you one more time, and no funeral for those of us who loved him to hold each other close. I'll miss you dearly, my brother, she tweeted in part. Warren, a former Democratic presidential contender, spoke proudly of her brothers on the campaign trail. Reed was a U.S. Air Force veteran and one of her two Republican brothers, though he and his siblings only appeared once on the trail with her when she was in Oklahoma. They never spoke to the press. They did appear in a campaign video for their little sister. Warren had not previously mentioned her brother's diagnosis, but she had been outspoken about the pandemic script on the world. Despite what appears to be the slow progress in New York City, the mayor and health commissioner gave a sobering look at how many New Yorkers most likely have been and will continue to be affected by the pandemic. Health commissioners Osiris Barbeau said that she would not be surprised if close to 1 million New Yorkers have been exposed to COVID-19. In the city of about 8.3 million, there have been at least 180,000 confirmed cases, Barbeau said Thursday during Mayor Bill de Blasio's daily press briefing. De Blasio also offered a stark statistic. He expects that an additional 1 million residents could become food insecure under the pandemic, putting the total number of food insecure New Yorkers at around 2 million. He said that by the end of April, the city is expected to have served out about 10 million meals. For May, de Blasio said that number could rise to 15 million. Mercy. De Blasio offered hope to New Yorkers, saying he believes the city will persevere, but also warned that we're still very much in this fight. The number of people admitted to New York City hospitals with suspected COVID-19 cases was down again from 252 to 227, according to the mayor. The number of people in ICUs was also down, but de Blasio noted that 796 people admitted to ICUs was still way too many people. He said the city is on track to conduct 20,000 to 30,000 tests per day in May. De Blasio continued to say that testing is the key to reopening the city and keeping New Yorkers safe. The city of Los Angeles is expanding its criteria for who is eligible to get free testing for the novel coronavirus. Starting Thursday, all city's frontline workers can get tested for COVID-19 whether they have symptoms or not. The Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, who made an announcement at a press briefing Wednesday night, said the frontline workers include healthcare professionals, first responders, grocery store workers, and critical government personnel. We wish we could open that up to everybody, but I think we all know that we have firefighters, police officers, doctors, nurses, janitors in hospitals, folks that are in grocery stores and pharmacies that are putting themselves out on the line, Garcetti said, and we want to make sure that they are healthy, that they have the peace of mind knowing they're healthy, and because they interact with so many people, that we can make sure they are not spreading it. The city's public testing sites have the capacity to test 12,200 people per day, according to Garcetti. Okay. And it goes on, it's a bit windy because I'm already at 8 minutes, but it goes on to talk about people donating to donate to the Red Cross. 30,000 people requested to donate to the Red Cross. I'm just going to skim over so it won't be such a long article. And then it talks about the antibody test can indicate whether a person has been exposed to the novel coronavirus and has recovered, developing the antibodies to fight it. So you can log on to the ABC News for this said article because it was updated today at 1:18 p.m. So Los Angeles is doing testing for essential workers, first responders, nurses, doctors, etc. A lot of states, cities, towns are now giving random tests to their citizens. Locally here, we are getting tests. Places we can go to get a test. It is free to the public. As you see, they're working on antibodies to test to see if they will help fight. Several places are taking plasma because they're using the plasma from people who have had the coronavirus and survived it to use to help aid to others who currently are afflicted with the coronavirus. Now, there's information about the WHO. As you see, China has donated so much funding to the WHO, but Trump has halted all funding to the WHO because now they're saying that they did not give adequate information or timely information pertaining to the severity of the virus. Some of you may agree or disagree of Trump's decision. Because they're saying right here, China pledged to donate $30 million to the WHO, the World Health Organization. I haven't really focused on that thought. Given it much thought to say how I feel, but maybe perhaps America should give some money to donate. Why not? I think everyone in the world should donate money. If you've been donating money, why stop now? I think that's my thought at the moment. Like I said, I haven't really focused on that very much. I had heard the news the other day about him halting, but it didn't surprise me because, as I state, he's a very combative individual. Everything's combative with Mr. Trump. So it didn't shock me none that he wanted to stop funding, because now to me it's more of a blame game. Now let me blame them because they didn't get us the adequate information. And that's the thing with this virus. Everyone's looking for someone to blame. We blame China. We blame the wet market. We blame the bat, Pelican. It just goes on and on. Now some suspecting that it was a lab, that the lab did it, the French did it. My brother James, are you listening? Because this is what you wanted to get out here, so I'm putting it out here. Okay, I did this video for my brother James because he feels like, okay, I've talked to people in New York and they said they don't know anybody that has the coronavirus. I said, well, guess what? I didn't know nobody had coronavirus either here where I live, but now I learned of 2 people. So just because you don't know someone with COVID does not mean it doesn't exist. Does not mean that it's a lot of people with it. They just gave the stats right here of the people in New York, how many people are afflicted, which nationalities are afflicted. So what's the problem? You're all entitled to think what you want to think. I just bring you the said information. But that is the information coming out of New York City. That Cuomo released the New York antibody tests, and I'm praying that they work. I'm praying that they're helpful to the citizens of New York, and also here stateside, that more tests will be given, more research stats will be given, and any antibodies from a person who has had the virus will be of use to someone else to help aid this fight of COVID-19. It's just a lot to learn about this virus because it seems like every day, every other day, there's something new to learn about it, a new situation pertaining to it, a new organ being affected, a new something. And none of it's good, really. It's all negative, but it's a virus, it's a disease. So what's positive about a disease? Absolutely nothing. The only positive thing about a disease is if you live to survive it. If you live to survive it. Praying for New York. Praying for New York. Praying for all of you in New York. The city of New York and the state. Praying for all of you stateside and abroad. Praying that you stay safe and keep your hygiene up and wash your hands. Wear your gloves and your mask when you are out. And for those of you walking around as if it doesn't matter, that's on you. That's on you. But I tell you what you should do for those of you who don't want to wear a mask and gloves. Stay out of people's faces. How about that? Stay out of people's faces. Stay out of people's homes. Stay off Front Street. Just stay to yourself. Do us all a favor. Stay to yourself. God bless you, America and abroad. Thanks for listening and watching. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Stay safe, America. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wear your mask and your gloves when you're out. Amen. Bye-bye.